Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 7205 GC1-03. This is a mortise cylinder with a Sargent RA through RC keyway. This client ordered two of them in a KA2 configuration. That means when you order two and you indicate the KA2, they'll be key to like in groups of two, so that's very handy. They're already going to come from the factory key to like in groups of two, so be mindful of that. And in fact, any key work can be done either by Kaba Ilco, whether we specify key differently, or KA2 would be very typical. They can do anything. They can master key, they can grandmaster key, they can do them keyed all alike to a specific number. That stuff would certainly end up being a factory order in the sense of a factory lead time. We can also internally do any key work that you need as well. So the 7205 is a mortise cylinder. The 7205 specifically means that it is an 1.25" mortise cylinder. From the underside of the head to the back of the cam is 1.25", and that's where the dimension is measured from, and that's the length of a mortise cylinder. They're always measured from the underside of the head to the back of the cam. Okay, this is and that means 7205. Okay, this is going to be a 5-pin, but I'm quite sure that it would be drilled 6-pin. In fact, it's not drilled 5 or 6-pin. It's pinned 5. But it is drilled 7. I do not know that Sargent has 7-pin blanks available for that system, for these keyways, but I would imagine that they must, otherwise Kaba Ilco probably wouldn't be drilling this keyway 7. I'm not sure if they're gang drilling the housing, the plug shell, and the shell, or the housing and the plug all at one time. They actually may be, I'm not sure. The point of that is they wouldn't be gang drilling or drilling at all, either the housing and the plug separately. So my bet is that there is a 7-pin in these available in these keyways. So it's pinned 5, it's drilled 7, which means you can obviously run your 5, 6, or 7-pin solutions through it. Where would you use an 1.25" mortise cylinder? Well, 1.25", and the fact that this is, and jump forward in the part number a bit, the GC1, that 1 means a standard cam. That's the 863G cam if you ordered it separately, or just called the standard cam. If someone said to you that they needed a standard cam, they don't mean give me the one that you always sell. No, they mean standard in this shape is a standard cam. And standard cams are going to work in key switches, alarm bypass units and hardware, but probably where this one is being used is in a old mortise lock, like 1900. Maybe not 1900, 1920, 1930, 1940. Could be that era where they were not warded or lever locks at that time, so using a pin tumbler lock is where you would see a mortise cylinder, and those always took a standard cam. An 1.25" is a very common cylinder length that I see on those really old lock installations. The advantage of being able to buy the cylinder for these lock cases that could be approaching or eclipsing 100 years old is that they work. They still work. There's no problem with them. They're not going to have any modern advancements in the realm of mortise lock cases, but your door is prepped for it. It works just fine. You just lost the key. Okay, so what do? Well, you may or may not be able to get your hands on a key for that cylinder. It might be taking some very obsolete blank that none of your local locksmiths can either source nor even identify. And you can buy a whole new cylinder. You want to put a RA keyway through this? Have at it. Not a problem. Okay, so 7205 is the cylinder length. We talked about where you use it. GC, that's going to be a reference to the RA through RC keyway. And I did take a moment to look up the Sargent cylinders and components catalog, and they do certainly offer 7-pin. The RA-RC, that means it's going to be this cylinder is going to take any of those, is how I interpret that. And looking at the problem is I don't have a drawing of the plug section for the RA, RB, RC. But these key blanks are RA. But your cylinder should take any RA, RB, or RC. The L system is your stock keyway, and that's part of a multiplex system, as is the R, which is a contract master key system. Again, part of a multiplex system. So you can pass your RA, RB, RC keyways through this cylinder, is how I interpret that. Okay, so it's pinned 5-pin. You've got a Sargent original look-alike type key. You've got direct bitting right on the bow of the key, so you'll know what it is, what it's been bit to or set to. The GC, that's the keyway. The 1 is the cam. Now, in terms of the cams, they've got about 15 different cams that you can place onto the back. You know, obviously the most common is either the 863A, which is the Adams right cam, or the 863G, which is the standard cam. You can also do the Lorry fantail cam if you're doing a Kaba Ilco deadbolt. You can do Schlegg style. You can do Yale type, etc. So there'll be a variety of cams for you to choose from as well. And as you change that letter, you'll change the cam. This is the 03. That means polished brass. That scratched surface you see is just the peel-away protective film on the face of this cylinder. Now, because it's Kaba Ilco, it means that it's going to be very well manufactured in terms of the tolerances created using this architectural base material being solid brass. Okay, it's all solid brass. I've been told by someone who is a registered locksmith that they love keying this material because of how smooth and how well it works, and that's a result of the high tolerances that they maintain in the gap between the plug and the shell. And you know, probably a pin that certainly exceeds 0.003 of an inch off is just not going to work in this cylinder. So you have to be, you know, pinning these properly, and you'll notice that you will find extremely smooth, dependable, reliable operation from Kaba Ilco, not only Mortise but rim cylinders as well. Given the fact that these are so relatively inexpensive for what they're made of, solid brass, I wouldn't use any other material for a cylinder. You will enjoy years, if not decades, of smooth, reliable type of operation out of this cylinder. So we've dissected the part number. We've talked about where you'd probably use it. There is a image showing below the broaching of the cylinder plug, and if you can search online and find how they broach cylinders, it's an incredibly fascinating procedure to see how they actually create the keyway within the plug itself. So that's handy, and if you were to study the end of your RA, RB, and RC blanks, you'll see that they'll fit right in. And the reason that they do is just because they've, you know, eliminated the wards so that those different keys can pass. And be mindful when you're looking at that broaching, it's as if you're looking down into the cylinder and not looking at the end of the key. It's down in the cylinder is how you're looking. So as I look at the key, I'm in my mind turning that over symmetrically opposite. Okay. Now, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Kaba Ilco products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog for their brass cylinders, which is where you will find this. I would very much recommend that you investigate the catalog, because you're going to see that they've got a couple dozen keyways. They have several variants of options in terms of length, cam type, finish, obviously keyway, and then the keying that they can do on all that stuff. The point is Kaba Ilco is not going to sell you any cylinder under the sun, but they're going to sell you the stuff that's really common. And I would encourage you to investigate Kaba Ilco in lieu of manufacturer's original cylinders, only for the point that There's a large disparity in the cost of the two. And when you go with Kaba Ilco, you are getting very high quality material. So I would investigate that. On that page also is a link to the key blank catalog, which is probably that thick if it was printed out. So that's a tremendous resource that I use to great effect when I'm trying to identify a keyway, or at the very minimum, identify what the keyway isn't. So I can't really always find the keyway I'm looking for because it may not be in the book, but I can sure tell you what it's not. I get to that second section where it's the traditional door hardware, get to the manufacturer's area within there, and flip through it and really start to study it and realize, okay, well, it's obviously not what they thought it was because that's clearly not correct. So you can use it to great effect. Other data is there. They've got a lot of information on their key cutting machines. Other encyclopedic data is there for Kaba Ilco, a company that I'm partial to. There's a tech support gentleman over there who is always willing and responsive when it comes to my questions. If you have any questions on the Kaba Ilco, 7205 GC1 and an 03 finish, or any other Kaba Ilco product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.